Yes, the audio levels are good.
All right.
Welcome everyone to episode number 9
Number
of
9?
Broken by Concept. This is...
We're diving straight in, man. Holy moly.
I'm just kidding. I wanted to take you off guard by that. I actually
What
wasn't
the
going to
hell?
start. I was like, you weren't even ready. I was like, literally turn on the camera, bam.
Yeah.
That was intense, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just, you're
that
just
was
doing
an
that so you don't
adrenaline
have to
rush.
sync.
Huh?
You're just doing that so you don't have to sync the
no,
audio
I
with the
literally
visuals.
wasn't. I was literally doing that just to
Right.
take you off guard. I wanted to see how you reacted.
He caught me off guard.
Yeah,
I was
I was
shit.
like, wait, am I starting? Like, what's going on? Usually we talk shit for 10 minutes.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to dive straight. We got a lot to cover today. We can't dick around today, man.
Okay. All right, I'll start the
We
intro.
actually have it's my turn.
Okay. Well, is that what we do? We swap each
Yeah, we
one?
swap.
Okay.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Broken by Concept, episode 9. I'm your host Curtis Morgan. This is my guest Nathan.
God damn it, Curtis! I hate it when you do that. It makes me feel so inferior.
Yeah, it's a power move. Set the scene. We've got a lot to cover today. We've got to talk about NA. We're going to talk about, tilting a little bit. We're going to talk about a bunch of different things, actually.
And we're going to answer some questions
Yep.
from our loyal listeners.
Yep, our Q&A section back again. We weren't able to do it last week, but we'll get back into it today. So, obviously, Worlds is on.
Yep.
It's been popping.
Yep.
We're back into the group stages again. I believe when this video comes out,
The group stage will be finished
it'll
tonight.
be finished, right?
Tonight, yeah.
And then it'll go on to do they call it knockout stage or quarterfinals? What do they call it?
Yeah, it's the knockout stage.
The knockout stage, but it's essentially quarterfinals, right?
Quarterfinals.
And obviously everyone's talking about NA's performance this year at Worlds, specifically TSM. There's a lot to unpack here, and I've had this requested on my Discord a few times, saying, Curtis, what are your thoughts on NA? You know, why they perform so bad? What are some reasons? What do you think, Curtis? I'm sure you've gotten a lot of the same requests from from people on your Discord. So where do we start? How do we break this down? I think we need to set the scene first. Let's get a clear picture of what's actually happened, talking about what the records
Always
look
good
like.
to start with the facts, Curtis.
Yep.
You have the facts.
I've got one little thing here. Okay. I saw this on Reddit yesterday.
Well, I mean, I thought you wanted to even set the facts. So TSM went 0-6.
Okay, well, they literally went 0-6.
Yeah.
They were the only team, right, at Worlds this year who didn't win a single game.
So
including play-ins.
Even Russia, the playing scene teams, Unicorns of
That's
Love,
correct.
have picked up a game.
Yeah, at Worlds. That's
Yeah.
correct.
But yes, TSM were in a pretty difficult group.
They were in a difficult
Would
group,
you
but,
agree?
there was opportunities to take games off.
Yeah.
You should at least get one game out of 6.
In best of one situations.
Considering they're the number 1 seed.
Yeah, number 1 seed from a major region.
Yeah, the number 1 seed from that region.
Yeah.
This post here said that TSM's... Actually, no, before we get into this, how about the other NA regions? Any other NA teams who are representing NA? We have Liquid, and we have FlyQuest.
Yeah, and then in TSM.
And TSM.
Mm.
Liquid didn't make it out. They did terribly at the beginning of the competition. No, not really play-ins, but more first
People
groups.
were saying that Team Liquid overperformed. They got Worlds buff.
They actually started to perform quite decently on the second day. What did I call it, the second day, but the second half.
The second round of the
round
robin of the group stages.
I mean, Tactical played, I think, stepped up. He really performed well. I think they even found their groove in terms of drafts. I think they actually fixed their drafts quite well as well.
I mean, at the end of the day, dude, like, they have some world-class players.
Yeah.
How many world championships do players have?
Obviously, they could have done better, but I would say that they performed at
To
their
expectation?
level. To expectation.
Yeah.
FlyQuest,
To expectation, probably again.
Again, yeah.
And then TSM below expectations.
Below expectation. But
much
we
below.
need to talk about first why the expectation of those teams is set so low in the first place. And then what contributes to that. And then we'll go back from there. But one thing I did want to raise before we get into the details here was this was a Reddit post. It said, TSM's organization record at Worlds.
Okay, interesting.
TSM has an organizational record of 16-33 at Worlds, a 32.6% win rate. Okay? And it goes on to say, is there any other organization that has actually lost a higher percentage of games at Worlds? And, looking at another Western team that's been to Worlds quite often is Fnatic, and they are sitting at a total of 59.7% win rate, 55 wins and 37 losses. So this is pretty abysmal.
So that's the second lowest.
No. That's just another, comparatively the other Western team that's been to Worlds, similar amount of games.
Got it. Because there's some teams that gone like 1 and 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't count. Okay.
Doesn't count.
So it's like a team that's been there for a long time. They have a 33%.
Exactly. So, I mean, this is a very meaningful stat to me.
Okay. Why is that?
Because, sport, as we know, a large factor of performance, a large factor of in terms of if you want to create organizational success over the long run, you need to put yourself in positions to have the best quality practice and the most experiences. So for a team, this is the way I believe league kind of works: is the teams that do win, it becomes a little bit of a monopoly in the sense that you win, you get more resources because brands want to sponsor you, partner with you. The best players want to play for you. It's like, and then you also go to international events in which you get better quality practice and more experiences in which you can keep and not only for the players who do or don't stay in that team, it's more the coaching staff and the organization as a whole. It's like we know what it's like now to play at the highest level, right? So TSM have had a ridiculous amount of opportunities to not only learn but perform.
That's true.
Okay, we're talking
more than any FlyQuest is their first time. The organization. There's no one in that organization that is. Centaurion's been to Worlds.
I mean, Wild Turtle.
Yeah.
He plays for FlyQuest, right? Wild Turtle.
Yeah. But the actual organization.
But the organization
that's your
itself,
point.
That's my point. It's the organization because you're going to have long-standing members in that organization who have been through it and know what it takes. That's also why, by the way, the best coaches in a lot of other traditional sports are the ones that they were the assistant coach of or a positional coach of a team who was at a Super Bowl in the NFL,
Yeah.
Or the assistant coach of a head coach who went to a Super Bowl. They learned everything, how to deal with pressure, what didn't work, what did work. Surely, if you were to go, to Worlds that many times, you would have learned some things, right? You would have learned some principles that you could create and be like, you know what? We're at Worlds right now. Given our previous experiences across those years, surely there's something we can take in terms of a system we can follow to make sure we're on top of the meta, we're playing at our best, that sort of thing.
If you were to apply that to players, right? Thought exercise. Okay, so let's look at Liquid.
Okay.
They have 2 world champions.
They have Core JJ, Impact,
yeah, both world champions. Broxer finished second.
Broxer finished second at Worlds, that's correct.
And then
he's been to Worlds multiple times, right? Broxer?
Yeah, and same with Jensen.
Jensen's been to Worlds.
So that theory falls. I mean, it's either they're very bad at capturing the learnings and trying to, but they've all got it, dude.
There's that.
What do you
but
think?
How many times has Team Liquid been?
So you're going back to the organization.
I mean, yes, players. I think they have an influence, but I mean.
So you think coaches and the organization?
I think coaches and the people within the organization, because think about it. Okay, we're talking about people who've been to Worlds. I mean, Reginald a lot of the time probably would have either went or attended or been there to see the inner workings or the scrims. I'm assuming he's a pretty active.
Yeah,
he's pretty active.
We don't know that in the last couple of years, though.
Well, we don't know. I mean, there has to be someone in that organization who is able to see the trends. Or, okay, if they're not doing that, then there's something going incredibly wrong right there.
Got it. And that person for TSM, you would say is Path?
Okay. Even talking from first-hand experience, okay?
So you go into...
It felt like we went to Worlds twice.
I mean, can you count... MSI is like high-level competition as well.
Or even MSI. You can even count MSI, right? Okay, let's say we went
to... It's the same format. I have the same feeling going to MSI and Worlds,
Okay, let's just say we went to Rift Rivals, but let's exclude Rift Rivals. Let's just say MSI and Worlds. We went to 2 MSIs and 2 Worlds.
Yeah.
Even for me, talking as a coach, the first year, it was all brand new to me, right? I had no idea what to expect. I had no idea how to adapt to it. I didn't even know the meta would shift because the meta shifts within the event itself. The scrims leading up to the event.
So important.
It goes so fast. And that's actually what Liquid, I feel like, were unprepared for. They came in, they were way too slow to adapt to the meta.
Yeah.
So there's that. And I got completely caught off guard. And our first Worlds was an absolute shit show because none of us were prepared for it. In the second year, we definitely were able to pinpoint a lot of the problems and be like, okay, this is definitely a problem, but I don't think we had the knowledge to be able to fix it, right? That's 2 years. And I feel like even then, we would have had a lot better of an opportunity to do well in that second year when we went if it wasn't for the Schoenfire situation. I think
Yeah.
we actually would have had a much better opportunity. And I was actually quite confident in our team identity heading into that.
Yeah, we were really confident.
Into that event, right? And we're talking about orgs that have been multiple times. So Path, how long has he been in that organization for? 2014.
A long time. So that's 6, 7. I mean, he's probably got.
As an analyst. He was 2014, I believe, as an analyst,
Yeah.
and then he became a head coach in around 2016.
He's probably been there longer than anyone else in an organization.
Think about how many finals he's been a part of, how many MSIs, how many Rift Rivals, how
in
many
terms
worlds.
of NA, the second person to that would have to be Reapered, but he's obviously gone from Cloud9 now.
Yeah.
Who else? Let's think about this. I mean, everyone else has just been thrown around at all these different teams.
I mean, this just burns my mind because I believe that is the most painful thing you can possibly do. The most painful thing you could possibly go through is to make the same mistake again. To lose the same way or to go out of a competition the same way, doing the same things. You know, that just hurts. It actually really hurts.
Never make the same mistake twice, Curtis.
I mean, and again, we got to be careful with the way we do this episode because we don't want to jump to
absolutely not.
conclusions.
We're just based on information.
It's just based
on would you say? I mean,
careful.
results speak, for themselves. But I mean, obviously, we don't know behind the scenes. We don't even NA. We don't talk to people NA.
Before we kind of go deeper here, I just want people to understand who are listening this that there are things you can do as a team, even if. Okay, actually, let me rephrase this. TSM, when they were playing, after their first few games, they absolutely crumbled. And you look at their performance yesterday, which was when they, where they had that terrible performance. They got smashed by Fnatic. They lost that really close game to Genji. They performed terribly. But you know what that is, or what contributed to that? That is the team falling apart at the seams. None of those players are playing to win. Every one of those players is playing worse than they would in SoloQ.
Yeah.
They are literally playing worse as soon as they go into a team.
They're scared of losing their jobs.
They're scared of losing their job.
Reddit, community, backlash.
Even teammates, they don't trust their teammates.
Oh, there's no trust in teammate. Communication's all thing.
They don't even respect some of their teammates and their coaching staff as well.
Yeah.
They just want to get the hell out of there.
That's right.
People don't. They forget. They think that every team when they go on stage that's them at their best. That was not TSM at their best.
No.
Now your job as an organization, as a coach, is to find ways to make your team play at their best. Whether it's you have to be, have high quality conversation, make sure every player is aligned on the game plan, why that's the case, how we actually win games. Make sure that we've even spoken this on a previous episode, making sure that you're not spending too much time on social media and making sure that they're really focused on the job at hand. There is a lot of things you can do from coaching staff and an organization standpoint to help the team play their best. And I just feel like, yes, TSM didn't perform that well, but I actually think they performed worse. People say, I think LS said something like, they actually performed above my expectations. I think that's a load of shit.
Yeah,
I think they actually performed below.
No, absolutely. There's no doubt about that.
And I do think that is a result of poor management at the end of the day. So
you think the management's to blame, Curtis?
I mean, I think there is I think Path needs to go.
Yeah. Because he's had too many chances.
Let's riff on this a little bit.
Okay.
How long do you give a coach a chance?
Yes, this is a good question. And this is the thing that I brought up as well, before the podcast is in traditional sports, coaches get sacked real quick.
They do.
If they're not performing, if they're like at the bottom of a league, like they're gone. Aren't they usually the first to go?
They're the first to go. They're always the first to go.
Yeah.
Well,
but then again, the question is how much time do you need to develop? Because esports is so new. I mean, it's only been around properly. I mean, let's say LoL esports, League of Legends. I'd say since 24. Like coaches weren't really a thing until
2015. No.
You think even later than that?
2014.
Earlier.
I was thinking 2014.
I mean, 2013 there was zero coaches, dude.
2013 wasn't Coma the coach?
Yeah, but he was the first coach.
So 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's actually put ourselves in Path's shoes.
Okay.
Imagine your Path.
Yeah.
You join TSM as an analyst in 2014.
Yeah.
And you work your way up the ranks. You get to maybe talk to the players. You get to watch the scrims. You get to learn more about the competitive side of the game. Maybe he already had a pretty good understanding of how the game was meant to be played. But just because you're a decent analyst and just because you understand a lot about the game doesn't necessarily mean you're a good coach. Whether you don't know how to communicate effectively, you don't know how to get players to respect you, you don't have the emotional intelligence to survive in a gaming house, whatever reason. Eventually, Path, I believe around 2016, moved up to a coaching position, and he went back and forth across those years all the way up to 2020, right? Now, there's an element of it where the organization wants to invest a long period, many years into core fundamental people of the coaching staff. They want long-term coaching staff for that reason, I'm assuming, where, you want to make sure that knowledge is refined and built upon over years and years of experience. Okay. And then they would have a very clear identity or idea of the identity of TSM and what they're trying to build and how they want to go about building it. Because a lot of the time building a roster is a multi-year process. But
I mean, is it in esports?
Again, that's another assumption we can break down as well. But
I mean, just from the facts, I mean, I would say there is a lot of thought into building rosters for the long term.
Yeah.
But that happens. That's a conversation that every team has. I bet you in off season, right? I mean, we've had this conversation, and then middle of the season, going to transition from split 1 to split 2. It's no longer about that. It's about the short term now because you got the MSI.
It's always about the short term.
It always gets back to the short term so quickly.
So where do you draw the line then? Where do you draw the line of, okay, we want to develop this coach and keep him in the organization for a long period of time. So he really understands the inner workings of TSM.
Yeah.
But he's not performing. And TSM, yes, have had domestic results. Not even really. I mean, yes, they won this year. They didn't even make Worlds last year, right?
2 years, man.
They missed Worlds for 2 years, right? 2019 and 2018, they didn't even make Worlds. So
or MSI.
So, holy shit. He really hasn't even given results at the end of the day. Where do you draw the line? I'm not to say I don't think he definitely wasn't the head coach that entire time.
Yeah, he's been general manager and he's been bouncing.
But he's been in that organization for that long, right, and nothing's changed. They've gotten worse.
I mean, at the end of the day, him and Bjergsen were the cultural architects.
Something's not right.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, he's failed.
Big time.
He's failed.
Yeah.
He needs to get out. He's had so many opportunities to turn it around.
So, okay, failed as an analyst, head coach, general manager. What specifically?
Well, he failed as a
leader of the organization.
Yeah, he's failed as a leader in the organization to make the tough calls.
Yeah.
Because you know what's fascinating as well, and this I reckon ties into the NA culture, is no coach. No, I can talk from my experience as well. 2019 Direwolves. Let's actually use this as a comparison, okay? Let's talk about you in NA, how I don't even believe NA to be a meritocracy, the NALCS. I believe it to be, it's hardcore, what's the word? It's all about based on reputation and networking a lot of the time. Yes, there's an element of merit. Obviously, you need to be good at your job. But a large part of it is, networking and who you know in right place, right time. Okay, so Path, he wouldn't want to make any drastic changes.
All right, so is that the case because there's no actual pathway for coaching? Is that?
I would say that's a big contributing factor, yes.
Because, how do you know, again, if a coach is good?
You don't really.
It's so difficult, isn't it?
You get to work with them maybe in the academy team and see them work. I don't know.
Yeah, but they usually sort of just be like, oh, that guy's a good guy. Let's get him.
Yeah, it's always like he's a good guy. Yeah,
he's pretty cool. We get along. We talk about on Discord.
So what I'm getting at is if you're a head coach position in the NALCS, we're getting a fat paycheck, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if, upwards of $200,000 a year or something like that, right? Okay. You don't want to make an aggressive call in terms of roster and be the one accountable for saying, let's actually get rid of all these veterans and let's actually make a risky call. Let's actually completely scrap the roster and do something different. Let's actually get outside of our comfort zone. Yes, we may completely shit the bed, but at least we're going to learn something as an organization to figure out what works and what doesn't work, rather than doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same recycled talent over and over again and getting decent results. Yes, you can have Bjergsen and double lift on your team and come first in the NALCS, but you're probably, with that model and the way those teams operate, they're just going to get shit on at Worlds every single time. Double lift, in my opinion, he's done. He's burnt toast. He's just done. And no one wants to take the risk. Okay, let's look at two examples. Papa Smithy with Ryoma in 100 Thieves.
Yep.
Props to him for actually having a crack, and he has the balance of that roster. He had Someday in top right. He had like a veteran, high performing carry oriented top laner, and then he went outside the norm and got Roma, but he got absolutely roasted for it, saying, "Oh, there's already all this, there's all these like NA domestic talent. There's Golden Glue. There's what's the other one? Not Arcadian.
I know who you're talking about.
The other one
as well. I know
Demonte. There's like Demonte. There's Demonte. There's Golden Glue. There's all these other ones, but again, they come at a much higher cost. A much higher cost. So what Papa Smithy was trying to figure out is, okay, how can I balance making this a profitable business or reasonable cost business, but also potentially developing talent for the long run and trying something different, maybe trying out our scouting techniques. And he got roasted for it all the time. And Roma got roasted. Yes, he didn't even perform that well. He didn't perform amazingly, but he didn't shit the bed by any means.
But everyone would just use that excuse.
And everyone used
shit,
Roma.
Import, bam, gone. Don't even try it. Stop trying this stuff.
Stop trying. Why would you even try that? And props to Papa Smithy for actually having a crack. That could have been anyone. It could have been a Turkish import.
Yeah.
Could have been Bjergsen was a random EU import, a rookie, and that happened to pop off.
Yeah.
Roma could have been the next
Broken
player.
Blade's the same thing, dude.
Broken Blade, another Turkish import, right? So there are not many teams or coaching staff.
Well, I mean, if you're saying that, Curtis, TSM tried that with Broken Blade. Is that a success?
Yeah, I would say that was a good move by TSM.
Okay.
That's one of their few good moves.
Yeah.
I would actually have to give props to them.
Yeah.
But I'm saying this is more NA culturally, like across the scene, not just one team.
Yeah.
We're not seeing it enough, and I think that from a coach's perspective, you don't want to be the one responsible for screwing up, right? Because then who's to blame? Oh, Path, why would you recommend this? You're done. You're out. Like they don't want to lose that opportunity to use that job, right? I think that's an element of it. I'm not saying that's all of it, but I would say that definitely is a contributing factor because for me, remember 2019 Direwolves? I was like, screw this. We've won twice, 2 years in a row with the same bullshit, the same problems. I just want to try something different. I did a full rookie roster in 2019 with the cheapest run organization in the OPL by far.
Yeah.
Yes, we got basically shit on that year, but I learned so much about coaching. I learned so much about what works and what doesn't work. That was invaluable. And if I was to be long-term in Direwolves,
if you did another year of...
If I did another year, I would be an amazing coach. I would have been so... Like the 20 year after that, 2020, it would have been amazing.
Well, this year, yeah.
This year, sorry. Because I learned so much as a coach. But all that knowledge is gone now for Direwolves. Like there's nothing learned.
Yeah.
But I got everyone said, oh, they just outcast us in a way. It's like, Curtis is a shit coach now. Dude, I'm the one trying something. O's always does the same thing and fails internationally. I'd rather try something. And I feel like that's where NA need to go. NA need to develop that mentality where it's like, what we're doing is not working.
But it is to win an ALCS, obviously.
Kind of feels like the OPL problem. Where everyone's just trying to win to get the international.
And it's like, oh, we're international now. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
So it's,
I mean, that's just one element of it. There's so many more elements at play here, man.
So this is again, what's the issue here? So this is we're just talking about issue of NA, right?
We're talking about the low performance. I mean,
TSM specifically.
Well, we're talking about NA. Let's talk about NA.
Well, all right.
NA as a whole here, right?
All right. So these are the issues that I've got written down here.
Okay.
We can cover what we want. I mean, not issues, but these are topics that may be
maybe worth discussing,
exploring.
Okay.
Streaming culture.
Yep.
So the SoloQ, the level of SoloQ, one tricks, the amount of one tricks.
Yep.
The pressure from the NA community, specifically Reddit. High salaries for players. That's actually all I had.
Okay.
And then there's some of these that tie into it, talking about we sort of cover that as like, the TSM players they're just trying not to lose their jobs at that point. So they're not going to do anything risky in the game. They're just going to play safe, which actually makes you play worse in the end.
Yeah.
Fear of failure.
Okay. Well, let's talk about. Okay. There was one thing here that you didn't touch on that I do want to touch on.
Okay. Let's start with that first, then, Curtis. You can start with your one.
And I would say this is a true element to that, which is the NA ego.
Okay, yeah.
And mentality, and the closed-mindedness nature of a lot of North American players, and the balance as a pro player.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, actually, that just reminded me as well, Curtis. Speaking of, as soon as you said ego of
NA players.
NA players, but even organizations, I remember specifically, I was watching Hotline League at the beginning of this year or something like that, and Evil Genius was just coming in. It was like I think it was the interview with the general manager of Evil Geniuses.
Is that that girl?
No, that's the CEO.
Ah.
He's just like a general manager
Okay.
that put together the roster and stuff.
Yep.
And they were saying, they were like so convinced, they were literally saying it, like, we have the best coaching staff in NA.
Yeah.
So like, think about this new organization
That
thing.
hurts. That actually hurts.
Like, just think about the statement itself. Like, whether they're the best or not,
whether it's
it
not,
doesn't
is that
matter.
mentality,
It's
the
their
way you're
mentality.
saying that, yeah.
And that's the first thing I recall when you say that, because I remember saying that. I'm just shocked at hearing that you're a new organization coming in. You have zero experience in LCS. Yeah, you have a bunch of people experienced, but as an organization, this is your first time.
You can't say that.
And actually, all the coaches themselves, they weren't well. I mean, they're well known. I can't even remember who the Evil Genius coaches were. But just the audacity to say that versus, okay, we're coming in, new organization. We're very confident in the staff we have. Let's have a crack.
Yeah.
I was shocked, Curtis.
I mean, we've seen this from NA players a lot. I mean, me coaching NA players, you coaching NA players, from what we've heard, from all the OS people in NA, Schönfire talking about his horror stories in NA. You see it all the time. It's like, there is something, I mean, I'm not trying to be like, I don't know what the word is. I don't want to hate on NA. There's some amazing people in NA. But in my experiences, a lot of the time, let's use an example from me coaching. If I say, what was the thought process here, or what do you think about this, rather than listening to me to actually absorb what I'm saying, I'm listening and I'm already going to tell you why you're wrong. Right? Because it's like I'm defending my ego.
Yeah.
So what do they call that? It's like listening to hear versus listening to listen, or something like that.
I think that's just spot on, yeah.
Is that what it listening?
There's a difference between listening and there's another word.
There's another word there, but I can't remember. But anyway, all it is like there's a difference between actually listening and just like pretending you're listening. Because yeah, I can sit there and listen to what Nathan says.
It's a skill.
The sound goes in my ear. And I know what you're saying, but I'm not really trying to empathize with you and really, like, I can listen two different ways. There's one way I'm really trying to empathize with you and understand why you said that and really internalize what you said. And then there's the other version of it where maybe Nathan says something that, maybe he disagrees with me about a point, or maybe Nathan says something that maybe makes you feel a little bit defensive. And in that situation, I'm like, instant defense and no, you're wrong, I'm right, and this is why. And in my experience coaching a lot of NA players, it's always, rather than, you know what, Curtis, that's actually a good point. Why do you say that? Or what makes you say that? Or how did you come to that conclusion? Or, okay, let me actually give it a go. I'm actually not too sure. I can actually give it a go.
Let me go away and think about this.
Yeah,
more.
let me go away and think about that. Rather than, I just don't think that would work because, I like doing this because, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, I might, I'm not saying I know I have all the answers. That's not what I'm getting at here. It's the mentality behind what you're saying, or like the way you're saying it, is what I think is problematic. So there definitely is something there with the NA culture. I mean, I'm not from America, USA. I don't know, but there's, in my experiences, and I'm assuming you've had very similar experiences. What are your experiences like coaching American players?
Well, I mean, I'm very picky with my clients, good.
Right.
So, I think I love coaching my NA players, but I mean, it's more like just watching the way it is in SoloQ, like,
right.
Yeah, I mean, they're like in their own little circle. This person's bad. This person's good. This person's bad. This person's good. I mean, actually, I don't really hear about good. Everyone's just bad. Everyone's just bad, apparently.
Yeah, everyone's just bad. Apparently. No one's actually
good.
And what was the other element? I said the balance thing.
Yeah.
Okay, let me riff on this a little bit, and I know you might have an opinion on this.
Okay.
I think NA try to take the balance thing way too seriously. Yes, there is a way.
So what do you mean by balance? You're talking about life balance?
I'm talking about life balance.
Okay, so you're like playing X amount at training and like socializing. What's the other?
No, so one thing that, I mean, I'm just a massive advocate for is you're not going to have a normal life as a pro player.
An athlete
Okay.
in any sport.
Okay. Yeah. If you want to, I mean, other sport is much easier, I would say, because again,
There's physical rest time.
physical rest time, but even then, again, you're not going to live a normal life. Kobe Bryant made so many sacrifices. He even talks about that. His wife was incredibly understanding. He did not spend much time or much effort with his family. He wasn't able to.
Well, he literally said, I remember an interview question saying, like, how were your relationships? And he said they all suffered. But after his career, then he would have to pick up where he left off. But he understood that
was a sacrifice. Right. And the thing is, I mean, I don't want to be that guy that says, you can't have a girlfriend. You got to make these sacrifices with your relationships, your friendships.
Actually, there was a tweet here, Curtis. This guy on Twitter, Thorin retweeted this tweet. This is how I saw it. This guy called Alex Sharks Taranda. And he said, when I was trying for coach position in NA, they told me, quote, your approach is too military. Is this where you're going with it, Curtis? And trust me, it's not. I think NA team culture and structure is just too soft. EU players are way more tryhard, stubborn, toxic in a good way, chilling less.
I mean, I don't know about that guy's experiences, but I can also see that from an organization standpoint. You don't want a military approach because this is not natural to esports. You got to find that balance.
You got to have fun playing.
Yeah, you got to have fun. It can't be military, but it, again, has to be. All I want is players to understand that there is a sacrifice required to be a pro player. You are living the dream. You are doing what you love for a living, for a mass amount of money, for a short period of time, in which you have large off seasons as well. But my problem is like, okay, they talk about people with balance, and then they spend their entire off season. You see a lot of people, they literally barely play SoloQ. They barely do like boot camps, things like that. Like, there's players who complain, and yes, they may get burnt out, but that's the reality. I still don't think, I mean, in order to be great at a game like League for an extended period of time, it's hard to have balance. It's incredibly difficult to have balance. And I think that there's something there as well with the NA culture comparatively to Korea specifically. And I mean, I don't really actually know too much about EU, so I don't really want to comment. But from what I've seen on Twitter and the personal lives of a lot of these players who are performing at a very mediocre level, it's not acceptable. And from what I've heard in the inner workings of a lot of these organizations, it's not acceptable in my opinion. And that needs to be known as a pro player because it's so easy to get comfortable, man. But for any of these players,
love it. And they sitting in LA, man, with Hollywood and
anyway, I riffed on a little bit too much there. But that is one thing I'd love to hear other people's take on it as well. Actually.
All right. So I mean, again, going off that, sort of talking a little bit about, we've been sort of talking about like ego and stuff like that. So there's a book, I haven't read it, but it came on my radar called Tribal Leadership. I've talked to you about this before, Curtis.
Okay.
And they talk about in this book these 5 stages of high performing teams, organizations, business, sports, all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
And there's 5 like levels to it. So, level 1 being the lowest sort of level of a performing team or organization. Life sucks. This is the approach. I'll explain these after what all these mean. So, stage 1 is like life sucks.
Yep.
Like my life sucks. Everyone's life sucks. Your life sucks. Okay.
So this is of a person in an organization.
But I think you can also apply this to
your entire,
even an individual, the way you view the world.
Okay.
Stage 2 is my life sucks. Other people's life is like pretty good, but just mine sucks. This is stage number 2. Stage number 3, I'm great, you're not. I'm the best, but everyone else around me is bad. Mm-hmm. Stage number 4 is we're great. Again, this is coming from a team sort of tribal mentality. We're great. And then it's like, okay, well then what's the next level? But there's the next level, which is just life is great. Everything's awesome. I'm awesome. We're awesome. My opponent's awesome. We're just being there for the competition. So I'll quickly explain a little bit more about the stages. So in the book, it talks about stage 1. Again, this is the lowest stage. Life sucks. The people in this stage believe that life is inherently unfair and full of despair and hostility. To reach this point, they have systematically severed all relationship with other functional tribes and gravitate to their own dysfunctional units. Stage number 2, saying my life sucks, but everyone else's life is pretty cool. There is some hope at this stage, but they also believe that they are not valued for the work they do, tend to blame the boss for every problem. Some of the best organizations in the world are still plagued with this attitude. So this is companies like potentially like IBM.
Wait, so this is I'm great, but everyone else sucks.
No,
so this is I'm bad, but everyone else is life's good.
Life's good for other people. It's just me.
This is me.
My life sucks. Yeah. It's like, so in the stage 1, think of it as like there's no hope. Stage 2, a little bit of hope.
Okay.
Stage 3, I'm great, you're not. So this is.
I think that's where a lot of people are at.
This is probably where a lot of people are at here, right? This tribe at first seems to be functional.
I think that was every Direwolves roster.
That was probably all of us. With most individuals having a high regard for their place in the organization. However, many of them complain that they're not doing all the work. They form dyads, one-on-one relationships between 2 people.
Oh, that's so common,
interesting. And have little communication beyond that. Stage 3 hits home for most of us. Apparently, this is a very common place. You find this behavior in most places where smart, successful people show up. From his research, this guy called Logan wrote the book. About 48% of the workplace are in stage 3.
That would make a lot of sense.
Stage 4, again, we're great. In this tribe, the group has reached an epiphany about communication and units around a core set of values. The key difference from stage 3 is that so the dyads is like relationships between 2 people, now becomes like triads. There's like a bit more groups. Okay. Groups of 3 people together with shared projects and common values. Triads are the main building blocks of stage 4. Information flows freely through networks. Innovation is highly encouraged. And then again, roughly 22% of the workforce manages to reach this level. And then the next level beyond that, stage 5, life is great. Everything's awesome. We're awesome. As good as stage 4 can be, there is room to go higher still. Stage 5 is occupied by a select few organizations that are so innovative that they have created entirely new market opportunities, allowing them to embark on history-making projects. So these are like, the greatest like teams that like just change the world.
This is like G2, honestly.
So you think G2 hit this level?
I actually feel like G2 is nearly at that level.
I mean, the great example a lot of people use, people think Golden State Warriors got to this level over the last couple of years.
Yeah, in NBA.
Did the Chicago Bulls, you reckon Chicago Bulls got to this level with Michael Jordan? I mean, they would have to.
They would have to have been, right?
One of the this is for the select few organizations.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then my question is, do you think what stage do teams get to? And has anyone got to stage 5?
Well, I would say TSM was literally at Worlds. A bunch of them were at like stage 2.
Yeah, stage 2.
They're like, I'm bad, but like I can see other players like my life sucks, but I can see other
teams. They're like envious of other teams.
Envious of other teams, and like that. That's what I think. Bjergsen, all of those players in TSM are literally like borderline on stage 2. Most teams, I would say, are stage 3, where there is like little friendships in between the teams. Yeah. It's like maybe the mid jungle or like two laners or whatever. Like they're butt buddies. Like they chill all the time.
After scrims, they like go and chat or play like games with each other.
Yeah, they hang out all the time. They have memes together and things like that. And I would say they're still like a decent team, but there's still not that level of respect across the board, and they don't have respect for opponents, which is actually a big one. And what was stage? Am I correct in saying that? Stage 3, they don't have respect for opponents either.
Yeah, so stage 3 is we're great, everyone else sucks.
But that's also like they would have respect for their teammates, right? Or would they not?
Yeah, so everyone in the stage 3, everyone's very competent. Okay, they're in like dyads and little groups and stuff like that. Okay. And communication's really shitty. I mean, again, that's what we got it to.
I think we're probably stage 3, right? Where in 2017, 2018.
Most teams, I would say, at stage 3, and that's what in the book. Most workplace, they're like at stage.
So how do you go from stage 3 to stage 4, where you go for like not a real team to a true team, and you respect your opponents?
Well, so
stage 4 they don't respect. Oh, sorry. So stage 4 you don't respect your opponents.
No,
still.
I think you do, but you're just closely again.
You're just more of a team.
You have to read the book to actually figure out, I think, how to get to stages. I don't know. I have to read the book.
That'd be super interesting.
But yeah, I think that no one's gone to stage 5. I reckon no one's gone. I reckon stage 4's max. I think G2 hit stage 4. You know, we're great, and then they, you know, a lot of them bonded in bigger groups. I mean, I think they were all bonded as a team.
They look like a real team, though.
Yeah,
They
a real
genuinely look like a team.
But again, I don't think they hit stage 4.
Stage 5.
Stage 5, sorry.
Stage 5 is like we're that dominant, we're that innovative. I mean, I think there were glimpses.
They're like changing the game.
I mean, I think they borderline did change the game, didn't they? In season,
That's true. Maybe they got to stage 5.
I think they maybe
briefly.
not anymore.
Yeah.
Not this season, but the season before 2019. I think they pretty much did change the game, dude. They made the world final.
That's true.
They innovated. That was so dominant. They were
Yeah.
like unbelievably innovative. So I think G2 would have at times were potentially a stage 5 organization. And they did it in a very fun way as well. Like they played like WoW and stuff.
Yeah.
They will definitely change the game, dude.
So anyone else? Anyone from NA? Cloud9 in their, you reckon in their
Cloud9
old days, the high season 3, 4,
C9
5,
with like Meteos, Sneaky Balls,
Elimination, high.
That roster. I believe that was barely stage
Close
4.
stage 5.
I wouldn't say stage 5,
no.
stage 4.
Yeah.
It's a stage 4 organization. There's been very few.
Well, I mean, we don't know enough about the Chinese teams, the SKT.
It's hard to say.
I'd say, I don't know. Like, do you reckon you can be currently in esports? You can be like stage, because a lot. I mean, as I said,
I think
stage
I think
3.
SKT went backwards. I do not think SKT. Like, I think they're a great org, but that whole shit show with Coma. I think if they built Coma and Faker over like we're talking, a long period of time, I think that could have been insane. But that whole thing with Coma and the way that, and then they didn't make Worlds that in what year is that they didn't make Worlds?
They made Worlds last year, Curtis, didn't they? They did.
There was one of these years, 2018 or 2017, they didn't make Worlds. It was one of those years, I believe. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember now. But anyway,
I'm lost.
They didn't win, and they didn't win LCK as well. So anyway, I think SKT could have maybe been in stage 5 if they were on the trajectory, I think, to be stage 5, but I don't think they are. I think they only ever got to like stage 4. Anyway, so you think this is a contributing factor to the NA culture?
Yep. I think that no one gets past stage 3 in NA.
And whose fault is this? Is this the players or is the management? Whose fault is this? Who's responsible?
Yeah, I'd say it's lack of leadership. No one's responsible because there's no one accountable for this.
No, but
there is. I mean,
there is, isn't it? You have to be. Doesn't this always trickle down from the management?
Yeah,
and the coaching staff.
Yeah, yeah, but again, it's not the organization's coach. It starts with SoloQ.
So you're saying that even
the best players in SoloQ.
No, but you're saying that even if a coach, right, who understood this, right? Let's just say we had like a really good, intelligent coach in and out of the game. We're talking like a masterful communicator, someone who's amazing game knowledge, really understood how to build meaningful relationships. You saying that because of NA solo queue culture, that would be impossible?
I mean, I think the players are the more cultural architects than the actual staff.
I would say so as well, yeah.
And there is no players that I would say project in stage 4 to 5.
Not Bjergsen?
Bjergsen probably, but he probably just doesn't have the skill set right now. Maybe again he needs to be at it for 10 more years, you know, which he might not get the chance to. But from just me coaching NA clients, no one gets past stage 3. This is on an individual basis, but like again, you can apply that to a way of viewing life as well, you know?
Right. Yeah. Okay, so
like
it's not
remember how I said before, everyone's just bad? It's again, I'm the best, you suck.
It's even in solo queue, you're right. Yeah.
And so it starts from solo queue because Curtis, you're taught this if you're a 16-year-old player coming up, okay? So I work with like a 15-year-old NA Challenger player, right? And I'm always trying to put him back on track for this. It's like, because he switches to that mentality very quick. I'm really good, this player sucks. I'm good, this player sucks. This NA pro player just doesn't work hard. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to be better than him, right? You know, again, it's
always like comparing,
yeah,
right? And judge.
You know, and like I always have to, put him on track, and it's difficult. But he's taught that behavior.
So is he aware of why it's bad?
Yeah, he is. But he can't help himself. Because he gets sucked into Discord groups and.
So where does he know where it came from?
I mean,
it's just streamers, and there's all the high elo players, right? It's just like that.
You know,
it's always like, haha, XD.
I mean,
trash.
let's say for the last year or so, like, you know, Tarzan has been rank 1.
Yeah,
for like,
he's
you
like
know,
toxic, right?
And you know, he's a great player. And it's unfortunate, but he's teaching people this. He has a large audience. He's a large influence. We talked about.
I actually don't know much about Tarzan. Do you? I've never watched his stream.
I don't know much. I mean, I've heard some stuff.
Have you seen him in SoloQ? And
yeah, he's good. He's definitely good.
And is he toxic?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, what does he say? What type of stuff?
Oh, I mean, again, it's like, don't worry about that. It's not what he says again. I'm good. Yeah. Everyone else is shit.
Right. It's that mentality. I mean, this is where it gets where it gets a little bit weird. How is a player able to be hyper competitive? Because that's what it's like in Michael Jordan, dude. Michael Jordan was a dick.
Yeah.
You know? Michael Jordan was not a nice guy to play with.
No.
So how do you balance? Because maybe that's, Nathan, that's just the way culture is, like, nowadays. Nothing's like... So what's the alternative? There has to be a way for a young kid to express their hyper competitive self, because on the field,
it's a healthy way. Yeah,
on the field, you can trash talk. Trash talk's part of the game. It's part of the competitive experience. So this is where I think we got to be careful. I don't want the entire SoloQ ladder to be angels and not caring.
That's not what it looks like, though.
Well, this is where I'm confused. We need to get in. Okay.
So maybe
you got to draw that line. You need a bit of both. There is an element of toxicity in a weird way that's appropriate.
Yeah, there is. That's even what that guy's tweet said about, is in a good way.
It's toxicity in a good way. It's the mentality behind it, right?
Thinking about it more, maybe that's actually just for teams.
Maybe that's just for teams. Right.
I mean, the book is literally called Tribal Leadership.
I mean, the way I see it, dude, is that I think it's the coaching staffs and the leaderships, the management, whatever, of an organization to level up players once they join the organization. I don't think there is. I don't see League as a game ever changing from that, like that high-low elitist, toxic mentality. That's just SoloQ. And I think it has to be like that to a certain extent, in a weird way. That's like the barrier to entry, unfortunately. It's like, if you're not cut out to deal with it, then you're probably not going to be able to be a pro player anyway. The sad reality. And it's kind of like, dude, it's the exact same with sport in real life.
Okay,
if you're not cut out, you're not mentally tough to absorb a bit of trash talk and get back into the game and give it and cop it and give it, you just get weeded out, man. Like, that's just, yes, I'm not saying you go to the extent where you tell people to get cancer and stuff like that and tell people's mum to die. That's obviously that next level, which is just, it shouldn't be ever personal like that. But you have to be willing to be, if someone types XD, you can't just tilt off the face of the earth, or like question marks, puts a question mark in the chat and you tilt off the face of the earth and you lose the game. That's just, you're mentally weak.
Yes, I mean, it's definitely an aspect for it. Okay, so
it's such a fascinating topic.
It's difficult, but
it's so difficult.
There's something here I'm gonna try to articulate my thoughts here.
Okay,
I'm gonna
have a crack.
Across 1,000 episodes, because I'm gonna figure this shit out. But there's still something here. Okay. Please don't discount this.
No, I'm not discounting it. I think you're right in a competitive setting, but we're talking about NA SoloQ right now.
Okay, so again, we're going to use a Michael Jordan example.
Because you coach an NA challenge, you coach 2 NA challenges, right?
No, just one.
Oh, Will. Is that Will?
Yeah.
Will 15?
Yeah.
Holy shit. What do we...
So Michael Jordan, in a way, he had permission to do that.
Because he was in a position to do that.
Because his work ethic and what he was doing, I mean, he was a great player. Okay.
See what you're getting at. So wait. Let me before you move on from this, let me get on the same page here. Are you saying that until you're really good yourself
and have great habits and great performance,
you can't talk shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with this. Do you get what I'm saying? That? I totally agree with
at the end of the day,
the most toxic players, the ones that have egos, are completely unjustified.
That's
like
right.
the low master or low grandmaster or even low challenger. Yeah, a low challenger player who hasn't achieved a single thing, and they say their region's trash when they're like haven't hit rank 1.
They haven't tried,
or they haven't even tried, or they haven't achieved anything.
No, but again, let's use the example of Tarzan. Okay, you could break down that guy's life. Again, I'm literally not. God damn, what's happened to our camera here?
Is
Here
that the
we go.
battery?
I don't think so. I hope not.
If that's the battery, Nathan, it's game over.
Yeah, I think it's the battery.
Alright,
Right,
let's pause
let's
here.
take a quick pause and
Yeah.
we'll document this. What were we talking about, Curtis? We're talking about.
We were talking
Tarzan,
about
okay.
Tarzan
Alright.
in NA SoloQ.
Right, we'll come back. 2 seconds. So as I was saying before the camera cut off.
Tarzan.
So yeah, Tarzan. You could look at that guy's again. He's very very good at the game. Again, in comparison to everyone else. But if you were to look at that guy's habits, his high performance and his view on, I just don't view him as a high performing individual.
Yeah.
So that's enough to get rank 1 currently.
Yeah.
But until we get those individuals that again come up with great
like Tarzan,
role models and stuff like that.
Tarzan's got there in a different way.
He's got there
right?
in his own way.
In his own way, which is not replicable in a weird way. And he wouldn't be able to perform I don't think that type of individual as well wouldn't be able to achieve on the international stage.
That's right, correct.
Because they just crumble. They're just
crumble.
toxic. They're mentally incredibly weak. And yeah, they can't adapt to a team environment. But yeah, in SoloQ, they're really good. But I see what you're getting at.
Do you see what I'm getting at here,
It's interesting. So, but the thing is, you can be a great SoloQ player and not be a great individual, high performing individual though. That's the interesting thing.
Well, currently in the current environment.
In the current environment, but in traditional sport, that's not the case.
You can't. You simply cannot. Impossible.
Because you've got to have insane habits
Yeah.
to get up early in the morning and grind and train.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
You have to have insane discipline. Like these players don't have discipline themselves. They can't even. You know what I mean?
Such an interesting thing.
Like gaming. Like Curtis, what's the gaming schedule? You wake up at 3 p.m. and you go to sleep at 7 a.m. You know what I mean?
And you can
and most of these people in their life, they never actually had proper discipline.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I would say a lot of the pro players, like I think Broxer, I mean, he's obviously, there's some players out there, but again, Broxer will get trash talked and shit on by these players that aren't having these high performing habits in the first place. You know what I mean? In SoloQ.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's so tough, isn't it, Curtis?
It's so weird.
Because people in League are somehow rewarded for having poor habits.
Well, yeah, you are. You are rewarded
and lack
in a
of
weird
discipline.
way. Which
but you're not as well in the way as well.
You're not as well.
Because the clients that we coach, we know...
They get capped.
Yeah, we know when we have a difficult client and we know their mentality is holding them back.
Yes. There's players that are extremely talented and they could be so much better than they are, but their mentality... It's like what gets you there... What gets you here doesn't get you there.
Yeah.
I love that quote. It's a perfect fitting for this one. It's what gets you here doesn't get you there.
Yeah.
And they always talk about that in terms of business, right? So you do, say you have like a startup or like a early stage company. Yes, this business model may get you here, but in order to like really, penetrate the market or take things to the next level, you got to like completely shift your business model, hire completely new different staff, or you move to a different platform or whatever it is. Like what got you here is not going to get you there. I think that quote...
That's what it is for NA SoloQ.
That's probably what it is for... I think this kind of propagates out from NA SoloQ. I think
I'd say it is probably entire League of Legends ecosystem.
I think this is the entire League of Legends ecosystem at play here. But while we're on this topic, we're talking about bad habits. Let's bring up the chess thing.
Yes, I was about to say that, Curtis.
I'll get this.
Excellent.
This is very, very interesting.
I love this.
So I got tagged in this post on Twitter. And I found this incredibly interesting. And essentially what this was how there's always that debate saying, League of Legends, there's no physical barrier to playing, 16 hours a day. Like you could theoretically sit there and train 16 hours a day. Whereas in traditional sport, you can only train a certain amount of hours until your body gives up, right? So because it's possible to theoretically play, 16 hours of games in a row, you should be doing it. And that's what Koreans do. And, and that's what everyone should be doing. Which is actually not the case, okay? Because, and what happens, and the comparison a lot of people make is, well, what about chess players, right? The people say, chess players play 16 hours a day. If they are doing that, surely League of Legends players should. But there was an article, I'll read out the article for you, okay?
Yep, go ahead.
1 week in early March, on a blustery, windswept day, Fabiano Curiano decides to get away. He drives 3 hours west from his St. Louis apartment over winding gravel roads to reach his destination, a 2,000-acre compound in rural Missouri owned by a wealthy friend. At 7:30 the next morning, he pulls on gray sweatpants, matching running shorts, rubs the sleep from his eyes and heads out for an hour-long run with his training partner, Christian Chirilla. They jog up and down the hills around farmland, whispering during water breaks about openings and effective chess permutations. At 5'6", Kuriana has a lean frame, his legs angular and toned. He also has a packed schedule for the day, a 5-mile run, an hour of tennis, half an hour of basketball, and at least an hour of swimming. As he's jogging, it's easy to mistake him for a soccer player, but he is not. This body he has put together is not an accident. Kuriana is in fact an American grandmaster in chess, the number 2 player in the world. His training partner, Chirilla, a Romanian grandmaster, and they're doing it all to prepare for the physical demands of chess. Yes, chess. Okay, so these chess players, the number 1 or number 2 chess player in the world, along with this Romanian other grandmaster player,
looks like.
this is what their schedule looks
Probably
like. They get up
4 or 5 hours
7:30 in the morning,
physical exercise,
run for an hour, talking about chess as they're running. They play half an hour of basketball, an hour of tennis, and an hour of swimming. It's a 5-mile run a day as well. Now, in 2017, Magnus Carlsen, right, the number 1 player, he realized he had a problem. He felt like, for 4 years, he felt like his grasp on the title was loosening. He was still winning most tournaments, but his matches were lasting longer. The victories were less assured. He was beginning to wane in the last hour of games. Anyway, Carlsen realized he had to change his diet, essentially, and his diet was terrible. And he actually grew a dependence on certain things, and he couldn't actually keep his blood sugar level reasonable. Anyway, he had to change his diet completely and things like that. So, these are chess players. It's a misconception that chess players, some of the best chess players in the world, sit on their ass and play chess 16 hours a day. They are hyper physical. Now, I'm not going out there saying, every League of Legends player should do that sort of exercise every single day. But there is something to this. And, this is where, it gets very confusing because you do need to put in the hours. You do need to put in
the sheer number of games. We've talked about how the importance of SoloQ.
You do have to play a lot of games.
We said we would rather take an amateur player with 1,500 SoloQ games than 500 SoloQ games.
So, but when we're talking at the pro level, you do have to maintain a very healthy body because healthy body equals healthy mind. You can focus for longer, and you can train more intensely. I don't even know how the thing works, like biology or whatever. I don't understand it. I'm just talking from my own personal experience. I feel so much better and I play so much better after doing physical exercise, period. I don't know what the hell goes on in my body. I have no idea, but there is something there, right? So we got to somehow find the balance between, and this actually just shows we are so far away from figuring out what leads to high performance in SoloQ. You get these toxic 16-year-old kids playing 12 hours a day, not moving a single muscle and playing
for years,
playing solid, League of Legends. And then you get the other extreme of like some players maybe not playing many at all. And then they play decently.
But that first extreme you mentioned, those players are also stuck in silver.
There are players like that who are stuck in silver.
Yeah.
Maybe if this person did either of them, they always would have been good. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're just confused the shit out of ourselves right now, Nathan. I feel like there's just so much here.
Yeah, it is. I don't have the answer.
We don't even have the answers. We're just raising questions here, essentially.
I think of this all the time, and I'm going to dedicate years of my life to figure this out.
Yeah. This is what we're passionate about figuring out. What actually leads to helping someone get better.
Yeah. And what's the next bar? What's the next level? Because there is so many levels beyond what we currently look at right now.
Yeah.
There's a great quote by that super famous baseball player. It's like every year.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Every year he plays baseball, he realizes how much he doesn't know about the game or something like that.
Oh, I thought
one of the greatest players.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
Babe Ruth. Is it Babe Ruth?
I thought you were talking about another quote, another baseball player quote.
What's that one?
The quote was, "I wake up in the every decision in his day is dictated by baseball."
Got it.
So he wakes up in the morning at this time because it helps him play better.
Yeah.
He does this because it helps him get better. He does this because it helps him. Every action in his day is purposeful to help him get better at baseball. Baseball dictates what he does day to day. And I think that that is the approach you got to have as well. And that ties into the balance thing. Tying just one last point on the balance thing, and I think this is an element of SoloQ, is what actually makes a lot of these players the best is that they are not thinking about other things a lot of the time. Their entire world revolves around solo queue
That's
and
true.
how to win solo queue. Okay? When you get a player who's thinking, their mind's drifting everywhere. Oh, like, what's my girlfriend thinking? I've got to catch up with them, or my friends this weekend, or like, should I watch a movie tonight? Like, whatever it is, it's not about the game. And talking about Schönfire from experience, Schönfire, remember? I'd be home, I'd come home from the office at 11 at night, and then Schönfire would rock up at midnight or 1 a.m. and he would knock on my door, say, Curtis, you awake? Like, oh yeah, what's up? He'd be like, oh, what do you think about Olaf and his composition or whatever? He's thinking about the game.
Yeah, so that's the thing that all pro players have, I would say. To be a pro player,
I think they would have got them there.
They would have got them
but
there.
I don't think that stays.
Got it. Yeah.
I don't think that. I think that's one of the things with NA pro players. I don't think it stays. And it has to stay if you want to be. And that's why I think Nemesis do. When I look at Nemesis and Caps
and
Perks, I just look at those players and they only give a fuck about the game.
They don't know about anything else.
They don't know anything.
They don't
That's
know about
good.
Politics. They don't know about physical fitness. They know
They
nothing.
just play the game.
Yeah.
I love that. That's what the highest performance, and that's what I think about.
Yeah, but what's the next step? But it's like that. But let's combine it with these other things.
Combine it with other things.
What's the next level? What does that look like?
I don't know.
It's like the chess grandmaster thing. That's so fascinating. The
That's
ranked 2 player in the world.
The ranked 2 player. I don't know. There's a whole another. Yeah.
Right, so I think we should park that for now, Curtis. I think we've covered
all
all
the other things here. The streaming culture.
This is for the problems with NA SoloQ. Yeah, does streaming. I mean, yeah, I think we've summarized it. I think that everything all here, streaming culture, one tricks. Okay, I mean, community perception. I mean, dude, you just got to get off social media, man. Honestly, I just don't see how there is any benefit. I mean, obviously the benefit if it is sponsors brand, all that sort of stuff. Oh, I mean,
what are you talking about? Public perception specifically? What's an example? I mean, is this from the organization standpoint, or is this from SoloQ standpoint? What are we talking about?
Well, I mean, everyone emphasizes, I mean, public
like
perception.
what Reddit thinks.
Like rosters say, at the end of the day, Curtis, rosters decisions are made based off. Definitely, there is a factor, an element of public perception.
Oh, we knew that from our experiences in Dial.
Yeah.
Remember Dave? He would mention, what's everyone going to think about this?
Yeah, that was the thing we'd always talk about.
Yeah, we always talk about
that. The fans and stuff like that.
What are the fans going to think? You know?
I mean, that's
at the end of the day, it shouldn't even be a part
of
of it. It shouldn't actually be a part of it.
Yeah, but it's a factor because at the end of the day,
you're a brand.
Going back to what I said at the beginning of last podcast, Curtis, money makes the world go round.
Yeah. Holy shit, this is so messy, eh? So many little elements. There's so many things that you got to touch on. So, okay, so we've touched on a lot of reasons why NA SoloQ. I still feel like there's some really basic ones we haven't touched on.
Okay,
I feel like
what are we missing?
Okay, what doesn't make sense? Okay. This is weird. One thing, and this is a bit of a conundrum. Okay, a lot of the pro players say NA SoloQ sucks because all there is just one tricks. All right, and no one tries. That's what a lot of the people say. But then Sven, remember, he just joined and he got rank 1 and 2, and they just dominated. And he felt like it was just shit quality. And he would tell everyone to ban all the one tricks so there would be normal champions in the game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like why are those one tricks higher than all the other pro players in the first place? They have to be. It feels weird to me because it feels like if all the pro players... Remember we actually brought this in OS once. We said, okay, all the pro players should play SoloQ between these times to have the highest quality games possible. So we actually did this in Oceania once. We at a meeting we had to get all the organizations, and we said, in order to have the best quality practice, every single pro player should be playing SoloQ between X time. It was between 8 and 11, or 7 and 11. Between these times, after scrims, after dinner, we should all be playing SoloQ. Because during that time, if everyone's playing on their main accounts and everyone's playing SoloQ, you get the highest quality games. You get all the pro players in the games. I think what's happened... Okay, where does it start here? Is it the pro players not wanting to play SoloQ because there's too many one tricks? Or is it because the one tricks are high enough to be in those positions because all the pro players aren't playing in the first place? Or they're not good enough, or they're just not playing enough SoloQ in the first place, in which... they're just like, a lot of them are just in master tier and things like that. Like, where does this start? Because I think one tricks in a weird way, are healthy for the game, but they're not. Because if a one trick gets banned out, a lot of the time, sometimes they off roll, they get completely shit on. Or sometimes they can't dodge because they've dodged too many games. And they're actually not good at the game. They're only good at that one champion. But then they're also important in a way because they innovate strategies for that champion.
That's right.
So it's like, what's your take on this? Like, I'm so conflicted.
Well, my take on this, Curtis, is that there is, let's say 6 players on a roster on average. 6 times 10, there is 60 professional players.
Yep. And then there's all the academy. There should be theoretically
Plus
all the
academy,
which is another.
Let's say there's 100, and none of those people can be one tricks, right? 100.
No, you can't be committed to.
So
that's already 120
people, right?
Players that theoretically should
combine some one tricks here and there. I think it shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter, right?
No.
If all of them play SoloQ, it should not matter. You should have the top 120 players, and a lot of them are going to have 2 accounts.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're going to have 2 accounts. So theoretically, you should have 120 people at night, high quality SoloQ, no matter what. If all those players were trying to improve.
Yeah, I think that one tricks are healthy. They're going to be around there.
They're going to be around,
but
it shouldn't matter.
It should be like an 80 to 20 ratio, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, all the pro players should dominate the SoloQ.
Yeah.
And then there's all the up-and-coming young players who are really trying to be competitive as well. It doesn't make sense to me. If all the pro players are playing SoloQ and try-harding in SoloQ, there shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, but again, they're not for that excuse of like, oh no, it sucks.
No, because you know what actually kind of triggers me in a way is that they always say NA players are bad. They're not bad. The players are not bad. Okay? It's nothing to do with the player being incapable of playing great League of Legends. That's just not the case. It's their training environment. It's not the player's fault in a weird way. It's like everything else around it. Let's get into this. Okay, this is what I want to get into. I want to get into this is a massive one, Nathan, and probably one of the most important topics we'll actually probably talk about for this episode.
Okay.
Is playing to be globally competitive versus playing to win scrims. Okay, so we had this problem in Oceania, and this should be the exact mindset NA team should develop as well. NA know that you can get away with certain things in NA just because of the inherent maybe where they're at right now in terms of their level of play. That's fine. You can accept that. But because they don't have the problem of not enough SoloQ players on the server. There's plenty of players playing on that server, which, you know, if you play better League of Legends, all these players are going to learn, everyone's going to grow. Now, what happens is you got to change your mentality from, yes, I won this game, and yes, I won this scrim, to how did I win? How did I get this lead?
Get into the specifics, the details.
Let's get into the details. Is this lead replicable? Was what I'm doing now to get this win, is this going to work internationally? Okay? We had to ask.
So those are the questions that need to be asked versus, high five everyone, we won the scrim.
We won the scrim.
We're the better team.
You know, we went 6-0 in scrims today, yes.
Woo,
we got in this habit in Oceania where Direwolves were very dominant.
Yeah.
And our performance director always used to ask us this question saying, well, this he would say, this isn't going to work internationally. Would you get this lead on the international stage? Nah, probably not, Jono. Then what are we going to do about it? Okay, and then we'll talk about, okay, then maybe we shouldn't be drafting these comps because we know if we draft this internationally, we'll get shit on. But it's so easy to do it because you know that if we play like that, you're probably going to get the free win. It's like Bjergsen playing Zillion in NA. He can probably get the free win playing Zillion.
Literally punished for it instantly.
He gets solo killed. He got solo killed by GA at like level 3.
Yeah.
Level 4.
Stuck under his tower with 30 CS down.
Stuck on BDD, plays set mid, which in NA, no team would be able to play set mid into Zillion.
Yeah, yes, it's perfect.
You can't, and it's a weird way. It's like, well, Bjergsen, you can say, well, how does he know? Trust me, players know if this will work internationally. It won't work internationally. Like you just know if something's you're just beating worse players with some easy strategy. We knew it when we were doing it in Oceania, but we loved it. We're like, oh, we get a free win. You know, no team can beat this. Let's just abuse it and get the free win so we can go international. You got to think bigger. Okay, so what do you think, Nathan, teams could do, players could do, whether it's in their reviews, whether it's in conversations, whether it's from coaching staff, players, what could they do to increase their standard and bring their focus from just overall raising their standard to a world-class level. Like, how do I become world-class versus how do I just win this game in a way? And start to get into the detail. What would you say?
Well, it has to be that mindset. It's like we're always asking high-quality questions, as you say, that this is a thing that sort of changed your life, right?
Yeah.
Get into the details, get into the specifics, and really question. I mean, you've got to detach, as hard as it is, the results, the wins and the losses, even the losses. Again,
you got to detach yourself.
You must detach yourself from the result. The question is, am I getting better every day? And then it goes to the question, well, how can I measure that? It's very difficult to measure.
So, am I getting better every day?
Okay, am I doing things? It's like breaking down, scheduling your day. Like, am I executing on a schedule for number one?
Well, I think what you're trying to get at, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you're trying to say the mentality of a lot of these players is actually so far away from, am I getting better every day?
It's like exhaling. It's like oh, we went 6-0 in scrims. Oh, thank God. Like, I'm actually not as bad as that yesterday. I went 6-0 versus no, keep pushing, set high standard. How could it have been better?
Why does it matter if you were to
better?
lose that? Like, that's like, it doesn't matter. We're getting into the learning anyway. This is practice.
It literally doesn't matter.
Scrims.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so hard to develop though, man.
It's
it really
very difficult.
It's because I get that question all the time from people. That's probably one of the biggest things in my Discord is they focus so hard on the results rather than the learning. And you get punished for it in gold and silver and platinum for thinking like that. Because that should all be just pure learning.
Well, you get punished for it because then that makes you angry when you have bad teammates because they're losing you the game, man. Like, all your hard work and effort. Damn those guys. My teammates are losing me the game.
I think this is where lane coaches come into play.
Yeah.
The positional coaches.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're the ones that are going to hold you to a higher standard.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the head coach is doing it for the draft and the whole team. But
I don't think for a player, I don't think we're at a level where they're going to have that mentality by themselves.
No. Yeah, I would say so.
We're just not. We again, like you said, a lot of these players are not high performing individuals. This is where you need.
This takes decades to develop.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
You expect Tom Brady had that mindset from day one? No. He probably took a long time to get to where he was, right? But this is where positional coaches come into play. Where you have someone who is very clear of what is required to perform at the international stage. You know, someone who's studied all these mid laners and be like, okay, this is exactly what they do better than you and why. You get into the scrims, oh, look, your tethering, your micro, your clicking, your skill shot accuracy, your wave manipulation, your team fighting, your skirmishing, your side landing, your CSing. Why are you not getting 9 CS per minute every single game? Like, what's going on here? Why are you not looking creatively for picks here? Your camera panning. How much information are you soaking? Are you jungle tracking? Your warding placement, specifics, time, warding.
Just because you just nailed every fundamental of the game.
Everything. All these things, dude.
Yeah.
All into all these details.
Absolutely. But that's the only thing you think about. That's, instead of you thinking about exhaling after the win, you dive straight
into all those details.
Yeah.
And it's so hard for a player to do that by themselves. This is why I think positional coaches are going to be the future. This is the niche me and you need to fill, Nathan. We need to go over NA right now.
All right, we're going there.
NA or sign us up, man. And we need to be positional coaches, mid-jungle.
Yeah.
Imagine if it's a team,
yeah,
everyone in NA signed us both.
I mean, Curtis, I got a lot to learn.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying we know the answers yet, but how cool would that be if we both worked on the same org and we're like the mid-jungle coaches? We come like a package deal.
Package deal, Curtis.
We'll be cool.
Negotiating. We're worth $2 million.
That would be cool, dude. That would be that's what I want to do, dude. That would be really cool.
We're worth 10,000
one day,
each, maybe.
But that's a huge one. And at the end of the day, then the positional coach in that position should be like, okay, then they're in charge of asking the player great quality questions. You know, how could you have played this better in this situation? What did you foresee this happening? Why did you not foresee this happening? What variables did you need to consider in order to foresee this happening? What were you thinking otherwise? Why were you directing your attention there?
Again, you're asking high quality questions.
These are high quality questions. And then you get it. Imagine doing that every single scrim, every single SoloQ game, every single day, 365 days a year.
For years.
For years. You are going to be a high-class player. Yes, it comes at a cost, but this is performance costs that is will get you results. This is incredibly pragmatic, practical stuff right now, you know? But I mean, there's probably not many great positional coaches out there who have the mindset that we have, who could ask great quality questions and understand what we're trying to do. So we're just plugging ourselves right now, man. We're going to get a job after this.
Good work, Cody, man. That's a self. You just did an interview. Your own
This is a promotion. This is a promotion video, dude.
The podcast. This is it. This is the last episode of the podcast, by the way. This is all
we're going over to NA, dude. But yeah, man. That's
so does that answer the question there, Curtis? I think that answers that. I mean, again, I don't exactly have an answer of how they can. The question you asked, Curtis, was how can they be held themselves to a higher standard so they're not thinking about winning NA and thinking about being globally competitive.
They need to be thinking about how can I be my best self? How can I be world class? You always got to bring a picture of mastery.
Yeah.
That's where you got to get into the picture of mastery then. Right? And what is a picture of mastery, you may ask? A picture of mastery, you should be writing you have a document that says what is like the skill set required to be a world-class mid laner. And then and then every day you look at it. Okay, here, the world-class mid laners do this, they do this, they do, and you constantly compare yourself to a world-class standard. Maybe you have a schedule where you look at some of the best mid laners in the world point of views. What are they doing? How are they approaching laning? What do they do different?
I mean, I'm sure they do. Some people do that, but maybe there's not much emphasis on it, you know?
I mean, again, it's not what you do every now and then. It's what you do consistently
over a long period of time.
In week 7, week 6 of the split where you're like...
Off-season, dude.
Off-season, when it's nothing near and you're bored, or you can spend the day at the beach with your girlfriend, or you could... grind, watch night VODs and compare matchups and get into the notes and take notes and really get into the details. This is what the responsibility of a pro player should be.
That's right.
If we're not talking, this is not for the average player, nor do I expect them to do that, but we're talking people who are getting massive paychecks, who are representing a region, who want to, and are role models for people in future generations.
It's a big responsibility.
It's a big responsibility to be in the limelight and play for one of these best teams like Liquid. You're coming top 3 in your region. It's a responsibility. You can't have a half-assed mentality when you're in one of those positions. No shit, you get roasted. You deserve to get roasted for holding yourself to that piss-poor standard. That's my take on it anyway.
I like it. I agree with you, Curtis.
All right. What else we got here?
Should we? I think we should jump into some questions now.
Okay.
All right. I always love it. It's like we're entering a new segment. And like everyone's like, "Welcome to the mailbag" and stuff like that. You know? It's like this is the Broken by Concept mailbag.
Yeah.
All right. So to start us off, Sam Beever wrote in with an email called autopiloting. This is autopiloting is the title. A very common term used in League of Legends. Hello, I'm a newly player thanks to Curtis's videos. I'm a mid-main. If I were to be jungle, I would have no doubt that Nathan's videos would be the first thing I'll go to. Thanks, Sam. But I appreciate it. But I have found that I've achieved plat even through autopiloting. It's a problem that I've tried to fix ever since I've attempted to improve at the game, but I've never been able to fix it. I find myself many times just dying to a jungle gank that would have been so easily avoided, or not predicting that an Akali would R2 into E to gap close and die into
Wait, could you say
something.
that last 2 sentences? Sorry.
I find myself many times dying to a jungle gank that would have been so easily avoided, or not predicting that an Akali would R2, is that means the second R?
Yep.
Into E to gap close and dying. Dying to something I felt like I should have just known would happen. This is mainly due to autopilot and just overall not thinking during the game. I know for a fact that if I can think constantly during the game and analyze everything as it happens, I would be so much better than I currently am. So TLDR, or just a simple question, how do I overcome autopilot in my games? Okay, how do you define autopiloting, Curtis? What's your definition of autopiloting?
It's
just not thinking?
It's just
doing things, just doing
no,
muscle memory.
No, you're only
things.
Doing what's muscle memory.
Muscle memory, that's right. Yep. So you played a lot of League and you just click in, but you don't know what you're clicking for. You're just doing it based on, okay, I'm clicking here, I'm going for the kill here, I'm going.
It's because of the 2 layers. Is the the bedrock is just whatever's muscle memory, and you can do that and literally go into La La Land.
Yeah.
But then in order to we know that in order to win League, you need to process mass amounts of information and make better quality decisions.
It takes a lot of mental energy.
It does, to play the best quality League of Legends. That's why after Clash, you're probably exhausted, right? I was tired as after Clash, dude.
Yeah.
Even I felt my focus going down on the third game of Clash.
Yeah.
We played.
Yeah.
And we still won, but like I was way more focused game one. So I actually have this has been one thing I've been thinking about a lot, and I am actually going to do a video on my channel about autopiloting specifically, but we'll definitely touch on some things here.
For Sammy.
Now, the way I actually like to approach this one, rather than you remember sometimes we used to talk about this in reference to people getting themselves into bad situations. Okay, you get a question like this saying, I'm poor, I have no money, what do I do? Now, you can answer that question and say, okay, here's what you do, Sammy. But a better question where you need to actually start with is, how did you get yourself into this position? Or how can you minimize your chances of getting yourself into this position in the first place? Because even if you were to fix it, the chances that they get themselves into that position again in the first place, it might even happen again, okay? So when I talk about autopiloting, what I like to think about is, okay, how can we reduce, rather than figuring out how to prevent it in like while you're in game, how can we reduce the likelihood of it even being a thing in the first place? Okay. So this is where I think sleep comes into play. Energy levels. Okay. This is just for me personally. If I have a poor quality sleep and I feel like shit, or maybe I haven't done exercise, I just physically and mentally, I just feel like shit. My chances of me playing subpar League of Legends and autopilot League of Legends is much higher.
Yeah, it's a percentage chance.
The percentage chance I'm going to autopilot is it's actually probably greater than 50%.
Yeah.
Okay.
But is this for your first game of the day or game number 7?
This is like every game, dude,
Every game.
honestly. Even from like, and I would say the amount of games I can play with intensity is significantly lowered.
Yeah.
Like maybe if I have a great night's sleep, 8 hours, I get up, I have I had an exercise, I have a perfect day, perfect diet, everything. Like I can play massive amounts of games at a high level. That's also why, by the way, when I play at the end of the day, after a full day of work or for whatever reason, I autopilot so much easier than if I play in the morning. Because my energy levels, my fatigue, it's like when you're studying, right, at university or studying for school. You do your best study when you are, again, super focused. But when you come home from a full day of school and you come back and you're trying to...
Last thing you want to do.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
You just drift off 24/7 because you've already used so much mental
It's
energy.
like when you're reading a book and you're reading the same paragraph like again and again. It's like, this is just not going in.
Right, yeah, okay. So I think there's that element of it. I mean, I would say there's pure energy. I would take a look at the schedule and things like that. And I also think...
let's say this is before the game.
This is all before the game if it gets in.
Yeah.
I would say another one as well is the amount of games played in a row. I feel like sometimes, again, that's why I like to have people say they should only ever play in blocks of 3.
Is that your advice you give to people?
3 or 4 max.
Okay.
That's the advice I always say you should
So
play.
it's like back to back to back.
So you should do blocks of 3 and then take a break no matter what.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if they're wins, losses.
Yep.
Get off the computer for a little bit, take a break, maybe get a snack, go outside, stretch, whatever. Like blocks of 3. I find sometimes if I play more than that, all the games blend into one, and I just kind of because I'm not moving my body, I'm not getting my blood pumping. I just feel like I'm just turning into a potato over time, and my chances of autopiloting again are significantly increased. I would say another one. So I'll let you in a second, but this is just my thoughts.
Yeah.
I would say another one is when I don't have if I'm not really obsessed about the result or am insanely attached to what I'm trying to achieve in that specific game, again, I autopilot. Why I love playing Clash so much is the incentive to win is so powerful. It gives me that competitive drive again. Where I try so hard. Yeah. I'm focusing on my clicking. I'm focusing on my jungle tracking. I'm focusing on my laning. I'm really, really paying attention. So I play much higher quality League of Legends. Okay? But if I am not connected to the result, maybe I'm just like, I'm on my Smurf, it's all good. Or like maybe, even if you're playing and you don't really have an active thing you're trying to improve on, or the result isn't overly important to you, or you're not connected to your goal, the chances, again, you will autopilot is very high. This is why I autopilot on my Smurf so much.
Yeah.
I autopilot. Even if I tell myself, Curtis, just please don't autopilot. You just need to get some footage here or something. I can't bring myself to do it because
You might be able to do it for the first 5 minutes, but you'll go into it real quick.
Exactly. I might be able to focus for the first
One bad thing happens, instantly autopilot mode.
Yeah, or one bad. Even if like I get ahead, won't even like be wanting to put my foot on the pedal because, again, I'm not incentivized to. I don't feel a powerful emotion towards that, and that's like why I always use that analogy. I know it's ridiculous. I've used this 1,000 times, but I always bring it back to it. It's like, if you were going to win $1 million for winning this game, what would it look like?
Yeah, how would you play it differently?
If there's $1 million cash.
If there was a gun to your head.
Yeah, if there was a gun to your head, if you win this game, like type thing. Yeah, yes, that's unrealistic. That's incredibly unrealistic, and no one can replicate that level of intensity. But the reason I bring it up is it's like I'm thinking about how powerful is what you're trying to bring about. Connect with your goal. Visualize your goal. Do you want to get challenger? Do you want to get to a certain rank diamond? Do you want to be better than your friend's rank? Do you want to you have a personal goal you set yourself, or you're really, really trying to improve at one element of the game for a specific competition? I don't know what it is. It's whatever excites you, whatever gets you up in the morning. Visualization. I would say they're key elements to even decrease your chances of autopiloting in the first place.
So, I mean, that's more covered like sort of before the game and even forward thinking, like visualization, thinking about your goal. What are you trying to get to challenger? Like, like there's no time to waste in this game because I got to get to challenger, man.
Yeah.
Like, when I was at my best, when I was a SoloQ host god, okay, super simple mindset I had. I had to have taken responsibility for every single game. I was responsible for every one of my teammates' LP. I find a common trap that people fall into in low elo, what autopiloting goes into is my teammate doesn't deserve to win this game.
Okay.
I love the way Dopa, you mentioned me, Dopa has his mindset of he views himself as a gladiator. Going into the games, like, you got to be on point because if you get... You're like as a gladiator.
If you die once, you gotta have the mentality. If you die once, the game's over.
The game's over. Yeah,
that's literally the mentality you gotta have.
That's what I did for when I was playing Udio, right? Like, I mean, my KDA, my deaths was so low. Like I think max I would have had like 3 deaths a game. When I was in challenge.
Yeah, I feel like that is Oriana. When I die, I feel like my game.
You lose control. So it's just the mindset of I'm taking full 100% responsibility for this game. And if I autopilot, I am going to lose the game if I autopilot. It's like that intensity.
No, because that's actually ties into attention to detail mindset as well. People are so have this blasé mentality heading into a game.
Intensity, speed, efficiency.
It's okay to just waste a game.
Yeah.
It's okay to waste an hour.
It's just one game.
So I'm not really doing anything anyway. Yeah. That toxic mentality where it's like, and you always have that excuse, and you know why? It actually it's a very in-depth ego. It's like an egotistical thing, right? Or it's like an ego protection mechanism, where if you try and you still lose, there's no excuse.
Oh, it hurts. I tried so hard, but I still lost. But it's like, it's all right, I autopilot.
Yeah, because if you autopilot, it's actually a defense mechanism because you protect your ego. Because after that game, you can always tell yourself, I wasn't trying my best. I autopiloted. That wasn't me at my best. It's okay. It's actually a defense mechanism.
It does. It makes you feel good.
It makes you feel good, right?
Because it's so hard to hear the truth. It's like, that was me at my best and I still lost. Oh,
because you feel like shit. It's like, oh no, I tried my hardest and I still lost. Oh,
but that's the way you learn.
That's the brutal nature of competition, and you've got to do that again and again. That's how you get the best results over the longest period of time.
You're spot on. I guess that's actually what it is. It's understanding that the autopilot is actually a defense mechanism for you. It's to help protect yourself.
I don't like you holding it there.
Curtis, I think it's fine. I swear to God, Curtis.
I'm
going to flip at you one time. You know that? I'm going to be like, Curtis, it's fine, okay? No one has said anything.
I don't want to...
You're paranoid.
Okay, all this is where it looks like you put your hand, correct?
Yeah, it's true.
Exactly. So just put it there. End of story.
It does nothing.
Fundamentals, Nathan. Why are you trying to be fancy? You're trying to be fucking lead singer of a band. Just swing it around.
That's true. That is
true.
Just
hold it where it's meant to be held.
All right. Anyways, Sam, that's our response to your question because he's going to make a 2-hour video on it for you.
Probably not 2 hours, but I'll definitely make a video on it.
Sam watches your videos, Curtis. Make a 2-hour video for him, right?
Okay. Shout out to Sam.
All right. So our next question here, let's pull it up. Addiction towards League. So this is from Aaron. Hey guys, thanks for uploading these podcasts. They're really entertaining. I have a question. As for someone who's addicted, so he's identified himself as addicted to League, which is good self-awareness. And and refuses to play any other game due to the amount of time spent on League, playing thousands of games, season ranks with SoloQ. What advice could you give me to someone that's experiencing this on how to overcome this addiction? I'm constantly thinking about League and refusing to think about the real world. I only care for League, which is quite sad, but it gives me this dopamine effect of happiness and enjoyment, and I deeply have a great passion towards the game a lot, and also its competitive aspect of it as well. I'm quite worried about my future and future generations that are going to potentially get hooked like myself. I just want to make sure that I can limit myself from playing the game as frequently as I currently do. Thanks, guys. Yep, keep up the great work. All right.
It's an important question.
It is an important question. I mean, I think a lot of people struggle with this.
Yeah.
Then this is the thing.
Props to him. First of all, props to him. What was his name again?
Aaron.
Props to Aaron for having the self-awareness to even think that. I mean, I think...
It's like this is a problem. He's identified this as a problem in his life, and now he's trying to tackle it by asking this question.
There's not many people who are able to identify that they're addicted. It's hard. So props to him. I think he's on the right...
So what advice can we give to Aaron here? I mean, have we ever been addicted to League, Curtis? It's hard.
I'd say I have definitely been addicted to specific games.
Yeah, me too. World of Warcraft for me, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I was definitely addicted to...
My schoolwork suffered.
Guild Wars. I would say in a weird way, I actually still sometimes feel like I am addicted to SoloQ.
Yeah.
Me personally.
Yeah.
I know Nathan's not, but I actually do feel like at times I can be very addicted. Some days I don't care as much, but some days I feel like I can't put it down. I agree. So, okay.
Even though you have responsibilities that are connected to the game, you actually have responsibilities in the real world as well.
Yeah. So I think this actually kind of ties into the self-sabotage thing.
Okay.
It all really does kind of go together.
Okay.
I'm going to just say what I've done personally. And again, this is not medically or...
You're not a doctor,
I'm not
Curtis.
A psychiatrist.
Disclaimer. We are not doctors. We are not...
Exactly. This is just what has worked for me. So I always try to bring it back to... Even at a very fundamental level. Who do you want to be? What sort of person do you want to be? So if you did an exercise with yourself, Aaron, you said to yourself, who are some people that you aspire to be like? Whether it's role models, people in your family, your dad, maybe an older brother, maybe some mentors that you have in your life. Maybe there's just people that you deeply respect. When you think about those people and you think about yourself, what sort of life do you want to create? What are some traits that you want to bring about? What are some things that you really want to develop? Maybe some other skills, or just in general, what sort of life do you want to live? I think, yes, you're too young to probably know a lot of these answers, but I think it's good to start at least having a rough idea. Vaguely, what direction do you want to go in? Do you want to be... are you a type of person who cares about what their body looks like? Do you care about the way your body feels? Do you care about having a relationship or whatever it is? You need to just think what's important to you, what brings you happiness, what do you want to achieve in your life? Then, because I don't like creating a schedule out of thin air. I always like to reverse engineer what results you want to get out of your life in a way. Okay, so
this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And now this is how am I going to get there?
Exactly. And I feel like a lot of the time addiction in anything comes from a lack of clarity in terms of the result you're trying to bring about. That was kind of for me with university. I feel like I was autopiloting through my life and somewhat addicted to certain things in my life. But there was nothing, for me, in my mind, there was nothing else to do. But because I hadn't connected with who I was trying to be or what result I was trying to bring about. So I was just mediocre in a lot of areas of my life, and I really didn't know how to divide up my time in the day because I wasn't excited about anything. I wasn't trying to achieve anything. So a question for you, Aaron, is, what are you trying to achieve? What is important to you? What are some skills you want to develop? What are some things that really give you deep fulfillment?
A league might be important to you.
And that's great.
It's a good hobby.
It's a great hobby.
But again, I think that's really good advice there, guys, in terms of You know, and it might help you get to where, because I mean, at the end of the day, you know, downtime's downtime. You know,
You learn, and you can learn a lot from League about yourself.
well, that's what
and-
we
and-
believe.
and- yeah, that's what
we
we
believe.
believe.
It's a great learning tool. Learn how to learn.
Learn how to learn and learn more about yourself and be able to push yourself and set goals and build confidence. That's what I do believe it to be. Now, in saying that, it shouldn't be your life, unless obviously you're a pro player and you're making a career out of it. But for most people, that's just not going to be the case. Now, let's just say that isn't you, right? Let's just say you're not a pro player, you're not a coach, whatever. You don't own an esports brand, whatever it is. You're just a casual player playing it as a hobby. Then I would start to figure out, okay, what else makes me happy in my life? Now you may say, well, again, League's the only thing that makes me happy. That's what Aaron might actually say. He might just say, Nathan, League's the only thing that makes me happy. I don't really know what I want to do. I don't study anything. Just say how old he is.
No, he didn't mention. No.
Okay, so then what I'll do is force myself to get... I mean, I'm going to always bring this back, because if I were to go back in time and tell my 18-year-old self, like, what I should be doing with my time, gym or exercise is an absolute necessity. I don't care what you look like.
Around it. There's no way.
There's no way around it. As like, for your mental health and your physical health, it all starts with being physically. I think being physically active is, I think, so important. Even if it's as little as a run or a jog, or a short little 20-minute exercise, or a skipping outside, or going for a walk, you need to at least schedule that into your day at some point. Which leads me to my other favorite point. Into the best way to battle addiction is schedule. We've said this a lot, but I truly do believe it to be the case. And it always ties back to that principle where discipline equals freedom. And the main thing with addiction, with things that are addictive, like phone usage, like League of Legends and a lot of computer games, is that if you're unsure what to do, it's going to be it's the easiest thing for you to do. You're going to do it. Like, okay, another little thing here is...
Well, it's just a habit at that point.
It's a habit,
very good at habits. Like, okay, not doing anything. All right, that means you go.
But you
play
know, the
League of
way to
Legends.
break a habit is actually not to just get rid of a habit. You actually got to create other habits on top of it.
On top of it,
That's where
got
that grooving... I think I mentioned this in one of my other podcast
Yeah.
episodes, where you don't break a habit by just breaking it. You actually got to form a new habit, and you replace the habit with another habit.
Got
That's
it.
the way. That's why scheduling works.
Yeah.
Is that, okay, it's 9 o'clock here. No matter what, I'm doing this. It's not a question. Is should I go on the computer, or should I do? It is. This is what I'm going to do, no matter what. Okay. So you got to figure out what your days are going to look like, depending on what's important to you. What outcome you're trying to do. I would say if I were to go back in time and I had a lot of free time right now, say I didn't have a job, I was at home, maybe on uni holidays, whatever. I would try and get a part-time job potentially.
Learn a skill
on the internet. Whether jiu-jitsu, learn a language, learn coding, sign up at a gym. Obviously, gyms are probably closed near you, but get into an exercise routine. I would start reading a shit ton, get into painting, drawing, anything. I have a hobby that is off the computer that gives me deep fulfillment, and scheduling time for that every single day. And trust me, you will not regret it later on in life, like 2-3 years down the track. Piano, guitar, anything. And then you'll start to realize, oh, okay, these are other things I have in my life, and my life isn't just League. Because the dangerous thing, the path you're going down right now, Aaron, by the way, is when you spend a lot of time playing the game and you're addicted to the game, your self-worth is conflated with your wins and losses and your LP.
And then everything in your life
comes
experienced
spiraling.
this recently, you know, it's
I've
like
experienced this as well.
you start losing in SoloQ. That affects everything. Curtis is angry at me. Curtis is angry at
This
Dean.
this literally happened to me not even that long ago when I went on a big loss streak. I talked about that. I went from slump to I was like 200 LP or whatever. And I was just losing. I had no confidence in the game. I actually was angry in real life. And I told Nathan, like, I don't give a fuck anymore. I was just negative to be around.
Very painful to be around.
And because I
Unpleasant.
conflated my self-worth with my LP. If I win in game, I'm happy and I'm a great person. But if I lose in game, then I'm a piece of shit.
I'm just a piece of shit.
And I don't deserve to be, doing whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
And nothing else matters. I go in full self-sabotage mode where I don't give a fuck about anything anymore. And I think that's the very dangerous route you're going down, Aaron, and where you need to be careful of is, again, conflating your LP and joining them together with your self-worth as a person, and they're just two completely different things. And that's where schedule really comes into play. And the only reason I got to that point is because my lack of schedule, because gym shut down and my schedule went to shit. We moved apartments. I haven't been able to get back into a schedule again. I haven't had that schedule that I used to do, which got me here in the first place. The only reason I'm in the position right now, even when I had the most success in 2018, I was a beast coach in terms of schedule. I would get up early in the morning. I would exercise in the morning. I would get to the office early. I had a very strict schedule. And even getting to this point in time, I had a strict schedule. I would wake up, do a little bit of my Discord, go to the gym, eat, shower, come back. I scheduled my days. That's when I'm my highest performing self. So you need to somehow find out what is going to be in your schedule, dude. And you may ask, and that's why I brought up first, what are you trying to achieve, and bring it back to that. That's my advice anyway to break addictions.
I think you nailed it, Curtis. I have nothing more to add, to be honest.
Do you think that's it?
Yeah.
Oh, and also a question, if possible, is like you gotta find a way to make it easier for you to avoid the addiction. So say you're addicted to your phone example, right? For example, you want to make it as easy as possible for you to not make the wrong decision. So by hiding your phone and like putting your phone away somewhere and locking it, or I don't know what you need to do.
Like you're not doing it next to your bed, just like charging it in another room. So
yeah,
you
charging it into another room. Yeah.
You don't sit in bed for an hour.
So the reason I brought this with computer or like League is like maybe you do your work in another room. You know?
If it's schoolwork or something, because he didn't say what he was procrastinating on.
Yeah, I don't know what he's procrastinating on, but like you get it away from you.
Yeah.
And don't have the League client just open. Sometimes I do that, make the mistake of having the League client open.
I'll just queue up.
Yeah, it's so easy. So that's my advice, and might be my help, might not, but that's all I got right now.
All right, well, I think that's going to wrap up Broken by Concept mail time.
Well, we're not doing any more.
I mean, because we've been going for almost 2 hours, yeah. This is a pretty long podcast, yeah.
There's no small questions?
Nah. Curtis, we don't have small questions, yeah.
Okay,
we can talk about things for an hour. Yeah, if you guys want to write in your questions, brokenbyconceptshow
at
gmail.com. We will read and respond to all of them. We'll try to do as many as we can.
No, we read them all.
We read them all.
But we already pick a few.
We only pick a few, yeah. So we can do that. That's going to be it for episode
9.
We actually on episode 9.
9, right?
Holy shit, dude. We're going to like a 10, like a little cake, dude, for episode 10.
Double digits.
That's cool, dude. I love that. That's exciting.
It is exciting.
Thanks, guys, for listening. And we will see you next time.
Catch up.